Good morning, and thank you for having me on.
All right, good to have you. Let's first get your immediate reaction to what happened on Thursday when a newspaper vendor in the nation's capital, Abuja, was brought down by the bullet of a security operative attached to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila. As we speak now, the vendors in Abuja are on strike from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. today to commiserate with one of their members. Let's get your reaction to these very, very sad developments coming at a time when we are talking about police reforms following the NSAS protests across the country. Thank you, Briggs.
Thank you very much. This is the whole sad issue of the value of the lives of human beings in Nigeria, not just men or women or youths alone. It is rather sad that at a time when the presidency is claiming that it is doing everything it can to respond to the 545 issue, where people are being chased all over the place and criminalized and called names as heavy as terrorists, where
some of the action that has been taken, because from what we read, the officer has been suspended. And speaking on the issue of police reforms, the speaker this week, was also at a forum where preparations are on. There was a meeting, a stakeholders meeting, to discuss how these police reforms can be carried out. Now, how does this incident, help, to shaping and help speed up the need for the needed legislation and police reforms, the kind of legal framework, and probably you want to say sanctions, in cases like this, so that people, those who are given uniforms to protect people, do not see the guns they are carrying.
Most of them that I've come in contact with are very against it. But the point is that we are in a country and in a system that places no value on the lives of the very police people that are carrying these guns and are shooting people. And so the frustration that should be taken out on the people in power and on power is being taken out on the innocent people that are suffering at every level, just the same quantity and lack of quality of life that the police is suffering. Look at where the police live. Look at the salary the police are paid. Look at the reaction of the children of genuine, police people during the SARS movement. So, we can go on and on, but you see, there is no point for that. What is the issue? The issue is that we have a system that places no value from the top to the bottom. We have a political system, a force system that places no value on life of human beings in Nigeria. It doesn't matter whether it's the life of a fisherman in Abonima or whether it is the life of a headsman in Katsina. The fact is that if there is no value on life, then this is the type of reaction that we will get. Who is responsible? The federal government is responsible because the security apparatus is in the hands of the federal government.
Thank you, Briggs. There has been several efforts by the Nigerian authorities and successive governments to actually effect these much needed police reforms. But unfortunately, that has not happened as we continue to see this kind of sad developments coming out from our security agencies. For you, what has been the impediments? What are those things that constitute a roadblock to achieving police reforms or security reforms, in this country?
Well, first of all, we need to realize that with time we have seen that the security apparatus being in the hands totally of federal government is not working. It's very clear it's not working. So if it is not working, how do we make it to work? You devolve certain powers from the federal government. And one of those things that need to be devolved Even it was addressed at the 2014 conference, national conference that my humble self was part of. We discussed all of these things at the National Assembly. But let us continue with the security apparatus. I mean, what is the issue today? We started with End SARS. We know that End SARS is a call that started about 4 years or so ago. It started in Rivers State. Rivers State started shouting about SARS. Now, in the north, the people in the north are happy with SARS. Now, that is the type of system we have, where a section of the country is happy at any given time with an issue, while the other system is not happy. Now, if we devolve power, these things will disappear. Now, someone will say to me, well, we can't devolve power because we have to go to the National Assembly. Of course, I accept that. But again, that's one of the roadblocks that you're referring to. So if we cannot devolve power or restructure Nigeria, which is part of the devolving of power, before we can actually have the right things done in Nigeria, then we have to know that that roadblock is coming from somewhere. So where is that roadblock coming from? That roadblock is coming from the people who are controlling Nigeria. Who are the people who are controlling Nigeria? There is a cabal. Who are those cabal? They have identified themselves. They have owned up to the fact that there is a cabal. The president's wife years ago, in the first tenure of the president, has said that the government is not in control of her husband. Now, we can accept that if we want to exonerate the president and say, yes, it's true, he's not in control. Then if that be the case, who are the people who are in control? Are those the people that Nigerians voted for? No. So we must go right back to the Constitution. We must go right back to the National Assembly. Today in the National Assembly, we have 19 states represented by three senators. The North has more senators. So anything the South brings, if the North is against it, we can't have it. If you go to the House of Representatives, Kano and Kaduna, between them, have 40 representatives. If others have done it outside of Nigeria. So let us sit down that the problem of Nigeria, apart from bad governance, all the bad governance, corruption, everything is inside the National Assembly. And therefore, we must change the 1999 Constitution before 2023.
Now, talking about bad governance, this was one of the reasons why we saw the End SARS protest. That's also aside the issue of police reform. And the End SARS protest, has drawn international reaction. The UK Parliament is also looking at the End SARS protest and is likely, is debating proposed sanctions on Nigerian government officials who are involved in human rights abuses during the protest. Now, what will be your immediate reaction to that? I think that's supposed to happen November 27th, 23rd or 23rd.
23rd, yes. That's Monday or something, I think. It's actually supposed to happen on Monday. Well, that's a very heartwarming, welcome situation. Because you see, Nigeria, disgraceful look, people look into Nigeria and at Nigerians as being the most irresponsible government, the most corrupt government, the poorest people in the world are in Nigeria. Wait, I mean, I can't believe that year after year, government after government, we continue as citizens to accept this. And when people rise up, like the End SARS movement, rise up, they are called terrorists. How on earth? Look, the president and so many other people, the present president, during Jonathan's government, were actually on the streets demonstrating at Harcourt, I live in Port Harcourt, and so if there is a sanction of any kind and it affects even movement, it may affect me. If there is a sanction on people, if there is a sanction on politicians, on certain people, it may affect all of us. You and I seated there. But look at this. Nigeria has borrowed so much money in the past 6 years. You want to wonder why I'm bringing that in. Now, if Nigeria is indebted to so many countries and there is sanction against them, they may call in their loans. And I hope that they do. Because if they do, then these people that are selling off our resources or are selling off our rights, they will be the first people that will be affected if there are sanctions and people cannot go out to go and get medical attention, while people cannot even get Panadol in Rivers State, while we cannot have corona tests going on the way it should be. You know, if those sanctions are done and are taken out against Nigeria, then maybe we will have a situation where we will have the right politicians and we will have the ones in power today behaving as if they are human beings. The way the people in power behave today in this country, I think that they are superhuman beings, and therefore that everybody else is a minimal human being, and it's not accepted. They are human beings just like us. They are not better than us at all.
All right, Anki Obris, you did talk about you did submit, much earlier that the NSAS protest actually started 4 years ago in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. I would want you to share some of the stories coming out from Port Harcourt in relation to these very sad issues of police brutality and human rights abuses.
Well, I mean, just in my capacity alone, as a mother, as an aunt, as a friend, as someone whose eyes and ears are on the ground and listen to what goes on, the issue of police brutality and police high-handedness have crept in gradually over the years. But when SARS was created, if we violent activities relating to armed robbery, relating to kidnapping and stuff like that, it is not the creating of SARS that is the problem. It is not the creating of after all, look at America. They have a very fine team that can come into Nigeria in the middle of the night, pick up one human being and take him out and take him back to America. Now we need that type of team in Nigeria if we can have the human capacity that can develop that for us, So, but when the group SARS started overplaying their hand, you don't know them. They dress just like the people they are looking for. Sometimes the people they are looking for even dresses better than them. Their hair is painted red and blue and all kinds of stuff, and they are oppressing people who are dressing like them. We started this call in Rivers State during the political time, when politics was at the highest in Rivers State. Like I said, from that to 2015, 2016, even the governor was asking for the recall, and the thing we heard was that it's about politics. Well, that's between politicians. I'm not a politician. So that was how it was described, that it's about politics. At the end of the day, people were calling. There was a protest in Rivers State, if you recall, of people saying end SARS in Port Harcourt. SARS must go. The head of SARS must go in Port Harcourt. And yet we also had politicians of APC. So it was now looked as if it is only PDP that were asking for that. Now, I also have experience of people who have come to me over abuses and so many other organizations. I'm very much aware of some incidences, I will say personal, because I know the parents of the people involved. One, I close the boot and drive the car away. I'm very much aware of such an incident. The boy his mother does not want him to come out and use it as an example. So I do appreciate and understand that. There is the thing about the Ikoku 4 in Port Harcourt, where some boys who were fixing cars, they fixed cars at Ikoku. These people came and collected 4 of them and said, this car you're fixing is a stolen car. The man who owned the car came and said, no, I gave it to them to fix. It's not a stolen car. Long story short, we all saw what happened. One of them died. His wife was pregnant. The other one, his knuckles, from being tortured, from being hung.
Protests. Now there are various media outfits, but 2 online media outfits also, Premium Times and Sahara Reports, had published some findings with regards to the issue that happened at the Lekki toll gate. That is aside, the fines that was put on some TV stations with regards to what also happened at the Lekki toll gate. Now, the CNN, an international media outfit, also came out with its own report. Were you surprised by that report, the investigative report by the CNN on the Lekki toll gate issue?
My brothers and many people who are listening and watching, and I'm happy that you're also a media house. See, even I and Q Briggs, I consider myself now an honorary journalist because I recognize the power of information and the power it gives and or takes away by the content of what you share and by what you share. So, one, years ago, you could not speak to me like this. I'm sitting in my office, in my house upstairs, in my small office, and you're in your studio, and we're talking. Before, I will enter plane and go to either Lagos or come to Abuja if you're the one wanting to talk to me before we can have this conversation. It's the same thing in the olden days for the army. The army needs to realize this. When they said that the army has bought a drone, the drone they showed us is the one I have here when I go on field trip to go and look at environmental devastation. I take my drone, I take my camera, I take my small, you can do all sorts of things with a small 50,000 naira telephone. And I think this is the problem that the police and the army and everybody is having. Now, apart from that, years ago, you couldn't identify a picture and a video by location and time. But now we have Google. As I'm talking to you now, if they Google us in and the map and everything, they will locate you in Abuja and locate me here in Port Harcourt. And there will be a timeline to it. Look, Nigeria should stop disgracing itself. It should, because it shows very clearly that Nigeria is still analog. If Nigeria is not analog as a country, it will not be arguing. What are you arguing, for crying out loud? That CNN has the capacity to sit in America or Britain and analyze a video and put a timeline to it. 6:50 something, they are leaving Bonicam, and you are in Abuja arguing, and then you say you're going to sue CNN. Do you think CNN is stupid? Will they come up internationally after 4 weeks or so and come up and stand firm and make this broadcast day after day in every single CNN program? Don't go after CNN. I believe very strongly he wants to borrow money to effect what he does not believe is possible. CNN will throw away the ones that are not valid. But the fake, I don't upload anything until I have had it verified.
Well,
the app is available.
Thank you. Well, as Israel said, this CNN reports and, of course, their findings came after 2 online news outfits in Nigeria talking about Premium Times and Sahara Reporters, had published similar findings. to admit that troops were actually sent to Lekki toll gates, and of course Lagos, and the orders of the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who invited them to enforce the curfew there. Looking at these conflicting narratives on the part of the authorities, just to also remind you that Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the governor of Lagos State, also came up with some conflicting and very inconsistent remarks. First, he said no one died. Much later, he admitted that one, and much later, he also remarked that 2 persons died as a result of that incident. Looking at the conflicting narratives on the part of the authorities, and of course, the revelations by the media, including CNN, do you think there is a plot to cover up the Lekki incident?
Is there anything that is not covered up in Nigeria? The Lekki incident is just one of the things that they believe should be covered up. And you see, Nigeria, the system is used to covering up all the time. That it is lagging behind in knowing that you can't cover up things anymore. That people can stay in Canada and see what you are doing. That DJ Switch can be uploaded. Look, I was called. My daughter called me and said, "Mom, tune to CNN, tune to this." While she was uploading it, it was being, news houses were picking it up that very moment. She didn't send it out. She didn't send it specifically to them. As she was filming it, it was online, it was live. She couldn't stop it if she wanted to. So yes, Nigerians, please, I'm begging. Look, let's fight. That Nigeria started buying those bullets in 2005 from a particular country in Eastern Europe or somewhere. And so when those things are available, you cannot say CNN must withdraw